Your favorite sportsbook, BetUS.com, is back for its 28th year of NFL action. Just click the link below in my description box and sign up today. BetUS.com, where the game begins. Long enough to cover the subject and short enough to keep it interesting. Welcome to Outta My League. I'm Nick Diaz. What an absolute shit show. Now, I know most of you are going to want to talk about the brawl and the penalties. Rest easy, we will. I know most of you want to blame the refs, and we'll talk about that. And I know most of you will want to blame the turnovers by the Saints, the one by Mark Ingram, the interceptions by Jameis Winston. But you know what? I don't blame the refs. I don't blame the interceptions or the players or Mike Evans. I blame Dennis Allen and the coaches. I blame them. Jameis Winston was playing with 4 fractures in his back. He didn't practice most of the week. He's in a lot of pain. He's struggling with accuracy in the first half. He has noticeably got a hitch in his throwing motion, and you decide to A, play him, and B, not use the best backup quarterback in the league, Andy Dalton, who would be an upgrade at quarterback for, by my count, at least 10 NFL teams at the current moment. You let that guy sit after watching that shit from Jameis Winston in the offense for 2 quarters. This is not on Jameis Winston. I'm not even putting those interceptions on Jameis Winston because A, he's hurt, which hurts his accuracy, and also he was forced to force throws because the Saints were down. I don't put that on him. The coaches shouldn't have put him in that situation. Well, he wants to play. Okay, yeah, he wants to play, just like every other player that wants to play. That does not mean you let him. Okay, fine. If you wanted to give it a go and see how it looked, I'll listen to that argument for a smidge of a damn second. A smidge of a second. But let's say you play Jameis Winston and the Saints still win the game. Cool. He still aggravates that injury, which means he elongates that injury, which means you put your team up shit's creek without a paddle for more games that you should win in the future. A coach's job is to put players in position to do things that they can do and take them out of positions on things that they cannot do. Dennis Allen and the coaches did not do that with Jameis Winston and the offense. And you know what happened? It caught up with you. Because your defense can't stay on the field that long without breaking down. You can't. Eventually, they are going to break. Okay, but you're blaming the coaches on the offensive performance, Nick. Maybe the coaches should have blitzed Tom Brady more. That argument might be the stupidest damn thing I've heard from the Saints fans this weekend. Blitz Tom Brady more. You have not been watching football the last 20 years if you think that shit is a good idea. The Saints defense played great on Sunday. Well, the defense wouldn't have given up that touchdown if the refs hadn't ejected Marshawn Lattimore. Yeah, and they also ejected Mike Evans, the guy who Marshawn Lattimore covers on every single play. So it's basically a wash. And that was also not the turning point of the game, which everybody wants to talk about. The broadcasters pointed out that, well, that was the turning point of the game, the ejections of the 2 players. No, that's too convenient. That's too convenient to say. You know what the real turning point of the game was? Was when Mark Ingram fumbled the football near the red zone, which is on him, which is on the Saints. Not what anybody else did, but what the Saints did in that situation. But sure, you want to talk about the brawl? Let's talk about the brawl. There is no reason why Marshawn Lattimore should have been thrown out of the game. None. None whatsoever. It should have been 2 personal fouls and then eject Mike Evans. But if the refs wanted to throw Marcus Lattimore out because he punched a player, fine. Fine. Then throw Leonard Fournette out because he was the one who threw the first punch at Lattimore. I don't give a shit if he played for LSU. Fuck him. Fuck him. And this is the second time that Mike Evans has decided to act like a piece of shit cheap shot artist towards Lattimore when Lattimore isn't looking. Because Lattimore owns his ass on the field, and Mike Evans consistently tries to beat Lattimore's ass off the field because Lattimore beats Evans' ass on it. And it's already being reported that the NFL is not only looking into suspending Mike Evans, but also former head coach of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Bruce Arians. There is video that has come out that the former Bucs head coach Bruce Arians was involved on the sidelines and started and escalated the trash talk on the sidelines with Mike Evans near him. And be sure, the NFL is reportedly already investigating Bruce Arians' involvement in that. So, know that justice is being served at this moment. And Ian Rappaport is also saying that the fact that this is the second time Mike Evans has done this exact cheap shot bullshit hit on Lattimore, that matters. That matters as far as a longer suspension for Mike Evans. And I know there is going to be a portion of the Saints fan base, and it's a large portion, that's going to blame the refs for this game because, well, Lattimore got thrown out and Bradley Roby was called for an unnecessary roughness. Because that's what those Saints fans have been doing for a long time. Just blame the refs. Everyone hates us. Everyone's out to get us. I'm sick and tired of this bullshit. I really am. I've made my peace with this for the past several years. I've made it clear for the past several years on this show. I'm fucking sick and tired of this excuse. Refs are bad at their jobs. They suck. Those refs specifically on Sunday, all game, were giving the Saints calls that were bullshit. 2 unnecessary roughness penalties were called against the Bucs that were total bullshit, that favored the Saints. The refs were making calls in the Saints' favor the majority of the game. Yeah, well, that's just so they could cover their asses once they started to, screw the Saints over in the second half. Okay. It's a conspiracy theory. I get it. Well, you know what they say. If you can't prove it, then it must be true. But despite all of these things, don't let this shit show from Sunday distract you from the fact that the Saints still have a really damn good football team. And for the 5th straight year in a row, the Saints have started the season 1-1. And in all of those 5 seasons, they have either made the playoffs or, unlike last year, were 1 game away from making the playoffs every single year. And there's no reason to think right now that they can't do that. But what I don't want to hear is blame someone else for why we lost. You lost because you fumbled the football. You lost because you had turnovers. You lost because your coaches decided to, play a hurt quarterback and not use arguably the best backup quarterback in the league to relieve some of that pain. Every ref makes bad calls. The ref made bad calls towards the Bucs and towards the Saints. Both players got ejected, and it evened out the playing field as far as who's going to cover who on defense and who's going to go against who on offense for the Bucs. None of that is a valid excuse to why you lost. The Saints lost because the Saints lost, and it's on them and on the coaches. Thanks for listening to Out of My League. If you like what you heard, be sure to like, share, and subscribe, or follow me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok in the description link below.